Okay, we're gonna do a Samsung S6 charge port. First, you want to mask up the tape. And put flux. Low melt solder. So what you want to do when you're removing the port, you want to put low melt solder on this area so that when it gets hot, it's getting loose, loosen up the port here, and then also you get low melt solder on these pins. So when you heat it up, it makes it easier for it to remove. Now on the bottom part or the front side of the charge port, there might be some plastic. So you might just get the hot air and heat that plastic up at a lower temperature, and then just grab some tweezers and start peeling back off the plastic that is covering up the pins so that you can be able to put the low melt solder on. On this one, I had already taken that off earlier. So now we're just going to put solder. What I do is put solder on the ports and then on the pads, a little bit on here. That way when I heat up the hot air, it'll stay liquidy, and then I can just introduce the new port on top of that, and then the solder that's on here would get soldered onto the pins, and then if I need more, I'll come back afterwards and then add more solder on top so that you have a solid contact between the bottom pad and the pin on there. So then sometimes I'll just come back around and hit up again with hot air a little bit, so it just makes it look nice, and go from there. If you get a bridge between these two, that's fine. You just get some hot air and then just break it apart with your tweezers. So that's what I'm going to do here in a minute. And as you can see, those pads just grab as much solder as it wants. Some people put the solder on the tip and then just drag it around. I like to touch the side and then introduce the solder on there, and then it'll just grab. It'll grab however much it wants. That way you don't bridge them from there. Then just have your charge port ready for when you're gonna put it on there, and then you just heat up, make it liquidy, and once it's ready to go, just introduce the port and it will get soldered on there. All you do is just line it up. Move the heat, put pressure on there so it stays nice and flush. Wait for the solder to start getting solid again before you move. And there it went. And now you check your pins. Make sure that it made a nice solid contact. There's plenty of flux all over around the port. Check for bridges. Now if you have that no clean flux, that does not mean just leave it on there. Clean it up. When you use hot air, be careful removing this. You don't want to yank at the tape while components underneath are still warm, otherwise you'll be pulling them off. So I usually just wait off a little bit before I start to remove the tape, and then I check the tape, make sure I did not move or have any components on it, and if they are, remove them, put them back on. Now you can buy this charge port piece by itself, but I have the ports so that I can replace them. That way I don't have to have 10 different one of these charge port flexes. Okay, nothing there. Draw some alcohol, clean it up. And that's it. Plug it in, charge it up, you're ready to go.